You're breaking
Am
up.
I? Can you guys get up? Okay. My phone. Hang on a minute.
Now I can't hear you at all. I don't know if anybody else hears him.
No.
No, I can't hear him either.
Hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yeah.
now? Yeah.
Sorry, say that again, George.
Say that again, George. Say that again, George. Say that again, George. Say that again.
We can hear you, but now there's an echo.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
There's
there
like
still an echo?
feedback or something.
Is there still an echo?
Oh.
No.
Okay. For the record, I hate WebEx. I absolutely hate it. It is the worst. It is absolutely the worst. But either way, we are here. So as I was saying, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Commerce Committee meeting for May 20th at approximately 7:10 this evening on a Tuesday evening. And I want to thank everybody for joining us and logging in and that kind of thing. Certainly appreciate you guys being here. And the ones who were here on time, I certainly appreciate that as well. And I wanted to certainly call the meeting to order. We've got quite a few things to go over this evening, so I want to make sure that we got a chance to cover everything. I am on my phone because it seems like I am here on my phone, so it's bear with me a little bit, everyone. It's going to be a little bit difficult because I'm not on my computer. You know, our wonderful technology, WebEx, it conspires against me. Every time I do the meeting, I do Teams, I use Zoom, and it seems to be never a problem. But this time there seems to be a problem. But either way, thank you guys again for being here. What I'd like to do is really do a roll call if I can, by simply everybody, you know, one at a time, identify who you are, and certainly your affiliation with our Commerce Committee. So I'll start with the names that I see first. I'll start with George.
Committee member.
All right, thank you, George. Next up is Adele.
Folks. All righty. Finally.
Good evening, Mr. Garcia. Can you hang on just a second? We're doing a roll call, so I'll get to you in 2 seconds. Adele, go right ahead. Sorry.
Committee member.
All right. Next up, I see Sonia.
Sonia Clark, committee member.
All right. There is a person called Nicole Julius. If you can unmute yourself and identify who you are.
Nicole Julius, board member and a new committee member.
Okay, great, Nicole. And welcome, by the way, Nicole, as well.
Thank you.
All right. And then we have Dorothy Gordon.
Yes, hi. I'm a newly appointed board member, and I'm just here checking out all the committees.
Okay, Dorothy, no problem. No
No.
problem. Thank you for hanging out with us as well.
Thank you.
Then I have, of course, Jose Seargard. I know you're from the Office of Nightlife, but you can unmute yourself, sir. Just to say hello, if you can. No? Okay, we'll come back to you. Khadija? Khadija, if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Khadija. I'm a community board member, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. And Executive Director Garcia, can you unmute yourself, sir, and just say who you are?
I believe I am unmuted here. Jeffrey
There you go.
Garcia, Executive Director, Office of Nightlife. Thank
Awesome.
you, everyone.
Absolutely. And we have a Deidre Lovell. If you can unmute yourself and just identify who you are for the record.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Deidre Lavelle, and I am a new committee member.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Deidre. And welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
And we, Detective Pierre, of course, you identified yourself, I think, earlier. And Marguerite.
Marguerite Valiante, board member, committee member.
All right. Hazel, of course. I know you identified yourself earlier, but if you want to say hello, that's fine.
No. Hazel Martinez, committee member.
All right. And Gabrielle Holmes, one more time, if you don't mind. Gabrielle?
Yeah. Hi, Gabriel Holmes. You can call me Gabe. New board member. Trying to figure out which committee is a good fit for me.
Sure. Thanks. And again, thanks for being here also, by the way. I think I got everyone except, oh, Neil, I think I mentioned to you earlier, Neil Albrick as well. Wanted to make sure that Neil, you can go ahead and.
Good night, everybody. I'm a committee member and I'm also a new board member as well.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So I want to welcome everybody to our meeting this evening. And certainly I'm pretty excited about a couple of things. Certainly we have our executive director of the Mayor's Office of Nightlife, Mr. Jeffrey Garcia, who's on. He'll be presenting in just a moment to everyone. So please just hang out a second. I want to certainly get to my chairperson's report really quick. Really, there's just a couple of items that we want to go through. I just want to mention there was a number of things that happened early on in the month. We had the Chase had put on what they call a small business mixer for all of the business owners in the community, which I attended. I know that we had a few of our board members attended as well. Chair Daly was there. It was a great mixer. The purpose of it was to really connect with the services that not only Chase offers and the people who offer those services within Chase, but also to network with other business owners in the community to sort of share ideas and that kind of thing. So I thought it was great. The place was packed. The food was good. They had two amazing restaurants that were there. Who had some great food. Lily's Restaurant, some of you guys, you heard me talk about them. They were there and they were one of the caterers of the event as well. And I certainly appreciate both of those vendors being there. But it was great overall. I mean, I was able to get some contacts, and certainly with some of the on-site visits that we did with some of our small business owners in the community. As you know, some of the committee members had attended those events. We were able to certainly put them in touch with the people who, essentially handle, some of the things that they may need, whether that's capital funding for improvements or they're opening up a different location or whatever it is. We were able to put them in touch with that. So I thought it was really great. I know that Chase Bank, and it was set up through Mr. Sher Cunningham. Some of you guys know him. He used to be the first vice chair for Community Board 17. And, he's still a board member, if I'm not mistaken. But the idea is that he set it up, and he'd like to do some things with the Commerce Committee in partnership with how we can certainly help and support our small business community. So we can talk about that a little later. I just wanted to mention that and certainly bring you guys up to speed there. A couple of other things. I had scheduled a on-site visit with the Hills Restaurant, which didn't happen. So we're going to try and revisit that perhaps next week. So that was one. And then Peppa's Restaurant, which is also another restaurant that came before us. Also, we wanted to go and do an on-site visit with them, as well as D Garden, which is on Avenue D. So you guys will be hearing about that. Hey, Cheryl. You guys will be hearing about that pretty soon. So just look out for when we attempt to go on these things. If you guys are available, certainly we look forward to having you attend. All right. So I think that was it for right now, because I want to make sure that we give Mr. Garcia some time to jump on board and certainly do his presentation this evening. And I want to thank him ahead of time for agreeing to come into our meeting this month. Certainly is on short notice, and I certainly appreciate Mr. Garcia, Executive Director Garcia from the Mayor's Office of Nightlife, presenting to us. So Mr. Garcia, Executive Director Garcia, please go right ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Hassan, and thank you to the committee at CB 17. It's a pleasure to be here today before you to discuss some of the work that I do in my office and how we can support businesses and quality of life in Brooklyn. All right. Um, just want to tell you guys a little bit about me. Again, my name is Jeffrey Garcia, Executive Director here at the Office of Nightlife. I'm going to start from the very beginning. I retired from the NYPD in 2014 as a first grade detective with the NYPD. So I have strong relationships within the department and understand the nuances of obviously how NYPD and nightlife businesses interact. I also have business experience, owned and operated, direct familiarity, sorry about that, with the day-to-day operations, right, of a restaurant, of a bar, having owned a coffee and wine bar in the Bronx, and in Yonkers, one that my wife, since around 2017, has been running and operating and doing a great job, by the way. So love to see my women entrepreneurs here in this city. And then I also ran an advocacy association called the New York State Latino Restaurant Bar and Lounge Association. And basically, I advocated for restaurants and bars and restaurants, across the city on many issues related to government-related issues, state-related issues, and issues uh, in the federal government as well. And in the federal government space, obviously, we all know how impactful COVID was to this industry, to the restaurant, bar, nightlife, performance venue industry. It was completely shut down during COVID. Businesses couldn't find funding, and that's how we were able to secure for our members over $2 million in fundings with local CDFIs through PPP loans and grants to help keep these businesses open. We supported, along with your now borough president, Reynoso, the outdoor dining program, which he spearheaded, right? Um, and how successful that was, and keeping over 100,000 jobs in our city and people working, and how that was a big impact in really keeping the nightlife and restaurant industry still going, right? Because it's such a big part of our city, right? And I'll talk to you a little bit about numbers and things like that in a little bit. But for those who don't know, the Office of Nightlife is a non-enforcement liaison. We're here to help and be an advocate for the nightlife industry and hospitality industry. Um, and again, that includes bars, restaurant, nightclubs, live performance venues, and lounges. So whether it's helping navigate city bureaucracy, dealing with enforcement agency, resolving quality of life issues, and speaking to businesses on best practices and patron safety, that's a lot of what we do here. And obviously the role that you guys play and interacting with with community boards all across the city. We understand the impact and the role that you guys play, and we want you to know that we are an asset for you guys, right? That we are another tool in your tool belt as well, within city government. So we're here to share some, information about how we do the work with agencies and businesses and community, because we believe, right? It's something that I strongly believe that community and businesses should be working together, right? They're part of the fabric of our communities, right? These businesses, you're going to find some business owners that are not necessarily from the community, but the majority of these business owners are people right from your community, right? That want to reinvest and believe in our communities. I know in Washington Heights, where I was born and raised, a lot of the business owners were my neighbors. People that I grew up with, and now made that area vibrant and brought nightlife and restaurants to a community that back in the 80s and 90s, nobody wanted to go, right? Because it was drug infested, like we saw many of our neighborhoods across the city. So um, it really is impactful, what the culture and the vibrancy that these businesses bring to our community. So, what is the impact of the nightlife industry? Um, it supports over 300,000 jobs in this city, right? So we probably know many people that work in this industry in some way, shape, or form, not just ownership, but people that are washing dishes, that are waiters, that are waitresses, that are cooks, that eventually they themselves get empowered and save their money and borrow money and open up their own little restaurant or bar. Um, it generates $35 billion into our economy, 700 million in local tax revenue. Those are tax dollars that go into our communities to help fund many programs that the city has, to our schools, through these tax dollars. So it's an important part of our economic engine to our city. And nightlife is booming here in New York. Over 6,000 new businesses have opened up under this administration, right? Post pandemic, which is huge. Why? Because people still believe in our city. And I think we all need to be very happy about that and what that means to our city. Like the fact that people still believe that they can make it here. We all hear the same, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, right? I hear the borough president, many people say, spread love is the Brooklyn way. Like this is what this is about, right? So it's clear that New York City is open for business. And another thing that's huge is that we have record numbers of jobs. We have more jobs in the city's history than ever before. So this is all great all the great work of obviously our mayor and our administration and the people right here at SPS and in my office, really helping support businesses, which is a huge part of what we do. So we have 4 pillars, right, at the Office of Nightlife, which is supporting businesses. And I'm sorry that I think Jose's trying to get the slides up, but he's probably having some difficulties right now. But I'm
Are you
hoping that
not
you
able
can
to
see.
see them?
Oh, not me. No, I'm not. So that's why.
Okay. I have
No,
them
no,
on
we don't.
sharing.
Yeah, we don't have them. I don't see them at all. I don't think anybody sees them.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have been sharing them.
All right. So this is
Oh
what we'll
wow.
do. I'll
Okay.
keep talking, and then we'll share the slides so you could send it to all your members, and they can then have a copy and see everything that I've been saying here today.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah, thank
In
you.
the interim, y'all get to see me. I hope I look. My hair is okay today, and I hope
Yeah.
So again, so we have 4 pillars here, right? Supporting businesses, improving quality of life, promoting safety, and uplifting the culture here in this industry. Um, and one of the main pillars of one of the main things that we did here and that we changed when Mayor Adams took office is the way how nightlife businesses engage with law enforcement. For many years, even since my time, right, since the Giuliani era, the way it was done is that we understood that back then is that getting businesses to comply was getting into their pocket, finding them, going in on a Friday night with 17 agencies and, getting them to comply through enforcement. And what we realized throughout the years that all we were doing was impacting these businesses, right, that were hiring locally, right, and employing families. And we understood that we had to change that. Right. So we introduced CURE, which is Coordinating United Resolution with Establishment. And what that did was create an education first approach. All right. But that doesn't mean that it's a free for all, folks. That doesn't mean that businesses just do whatever they want. There's still an enforcement component if businesses do not comply. So, but what does it mean? It means that now whenever there's issues related to nightlife businesses, whether it's complaints from the community board, from just regular citizens coming through 311 to NYPD engages with my office, and then we do outreach to that business and then eventually do a meeting at the precinct and kind of figure out what's going on here. What are the issues? How can we mitigate these issues? Whether it's quality of life issues related to noise, sanitation issues, whether there was a fight, whether there was an issue outside your venue, and what best practices you should implement, right, to help many of these businesses, believe it or not, actually help the police department in identifying perpetrators, right, through their cameras, through their ID scanners. So these are all tools that NYPD also has at their disposal. And what we've seen is since we implemented Cure, we've been involved in over 200 plus around the city. We've seen a change. We've seen that when we meet with business owners, things do change, right? And especially because, again, I come from this industry, so I get to talk to these folks from, my own personal experiences. I know what it feels like when an inspector walks in from the Department of Health or PD, and they're ready to do an inspection in your place. I understand what these folks, feel. So I come at them with a lot of knowledge and credibility. I also understand from the PD's perspective, from my time there, is how important public safety is, and that is the number one thing. As the mayor always says, right? Public safety, it's a prerequisite to prosperity. So we understand that if these businesses are doing well, if they're prospering, if public safety is being adhered to, corridors are safe, lights are on. People, when they get off that train, they'd rather walk down a well-lit block, right, where businesses, vibrant businesses open, than dark streets with gates down. So we understand that that is another form of public safety. Now, there are scenarios, right, where we need a little bit more help, right, when it comes to quality of life or issues when a community member complains. We have a program called MEND, which is a free mediation program that is handled through the Office of Conflict Resolution. And what this does, it brings the community member and the business member together through a professional mediator to work out whatever the issues are. All right. And what we've seen is that in 87% of the cases, when people just talk to each other, right, when people communicate with each other, we can figure out a solution. Right. So we highly recommend that if a community member has an issue with the venue, obviously we can all make an anonymous 301 complaint, but how do we solve the issue? We solve the issue by communicating with each other. And when we engage these businesses, we let them know how important it is for them to also be cognizant of the issues in the community as well, and what, if any, harm they may be doing because of loud music or other things that can affect their businesses. Another important initiative that we have at the office is called Narcan Behind Every Bar. We all hear, obviously, on the media or the issues that we're having, not just in our city but across the country, right, with the opioid epidemic and overdoses and fentanyl and people dying because of overdose deaths. And what we do now is we train business owners and give them Narcan to have in their venues behind their bar. And again, not because we're having issues at venues with people overdosing, but we want to be prepared. Just like we have a first aid kit behind the bar, just like we have signs on how to help when someone is choking and things like that. This is what that means, is that we're ready in case we need it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be inside. It could be right in front of your business. If somebody, drops down and is going through a situation, we can give that person a second chance at life. And we understand that that is so important, right? Because we can just, we can help that individual get the necessary help they need. And the only way to do that if they're alive. And having Narcan behind your bar or your counter at your business will help with that. And just in case you might be thinking, well, what liabilities are in place, we have Good Samaritan laws that protect the business owner from if they administer Narcan and somebody feels that they had an adverse effect. There is no adverse effect. If a person, God forbid, was just drunk and you gave them Narcan, they would just be a drunk person with Narcan. That's it. It has no other side effect than if you're actually going through an opioid epidemic or an overdose related to drugs. So for business owners, obviously, I hear about all the great things you're doing with Chase and We work with businesses. We have a program called Night School, and this is for business owners opening and operating a venue. We know it could be overwhelming, and Night School means nightlife industry training and education. And basically, we go over things with them like harm reduction, bystander safety training, and best financial practices. Also,
Ms. Belling, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you.
100. There are 5. We have.
Ms. Belling, can you mute your Thank you, Ms. Belling. Go right ahead, Mr. Garcia. Pardon me.
Thank you. So we also also talk about active shooter preparedness and more. So very important, especially in the industry. We've all heard of different scenarios that have happened in other states, and and we see stuff that happens in school. So we want to make sure that our businesses that are busy with people having fun and really going there to just enjoy themselves, we want to make sure that they're safe. We have a program called Elevate, right, which is for workers, mental health and well-being, and we understand the stresses of the night working in that industry, right? As a bartender, you're probably working and going through your own issues, and you're probably helping out somebody else with their own issues, right? That they come in that night, and bartenders become just like cops. We become somebody's therapist, somebody to talk to. So these folks also sometimes go through their own situations and need that help. And there is 24-hour care and options are free and low cost that we can help connect folks with in the industry. And also, since I came on board and under this administration, we moved my office from the Office of Media and Entertainment into Small Business Services. And what that means now is that we even have additional resources within SBS that we can help businesses with. We have programs like free commercial lease assistance. We have we can help them with access to capital. We have our NYC Best teams, right, which is our Business Express service teams, which we can send a compliance advisor to a restaurant or bar, and they can do a free walkthrough within their business and help them avoid fines or potential fines when inspectors come from, whether it's DOB, Department of Health, FD. So really important and free tools. And like I say to everybody, it's never free, because these businesses work hard, pay taxes, and this is what those tax dollars go to, right? Is to having these services, and they should definitely take advantage of them. So I just want to thank everyone. Please follow us on our social media. I will give you guys my phone number as well, if you guys are ready to write it down. 646-842-2770. 646-842-2770. You can also reach us at our nightlife email. It's nightlife@sbs.nyc.gov. nightlife@sbs.nyc.gov. And again, our social media is Nightlife Gov on Instagram. So follow us. You can also reach us through there as well. And again, overall, we're just here to really help businesses and really be a support for you, as well as, obviously the agencies that we work with as well. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, please feel free.
Absolutely.
Mr. Garcia,
Absolutely. And
can
thank you so much.
repeat your email?
Sure.
Thank you.
The email is nightlife@sbs.nyc.gov. And Jose, I think, put it on the chat as
I'm
well.
placing it in the chat.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys all got my number as well. Feel free, to reach out. Again, we
Could you
work
repeat
very
the phone
closely.
number, please?
646-842-2770.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great. So just very quickly, for committee members, do any of you guys have any questions for Mr. Garcia? Because if you don't, I have a couple. I just want to expand on it, but want to give you an opportunity to. No? Okay. This is not a shy
Well,
bunch.
Hassan,
I have a
I
comment though.
just,
I have a question.
Okay, wait a minute. We can't all talk at once. Who
uh,
was saying something first?
I don't know.
I just,
Cheryl, go ahead, Cheryl.
all right,
Have to-
thank you.
have-
I
have-
just wanted to share. I work with the Positive Community magazine, and last June we did a feature, an article on the mayor's administration, and it was like 11 pages of the great work that he's doing with minority and women-owned businesses. Extraordinary. And I personally would like to share, I don't know if I ever shared this before. I've been with the Positive Black Media, Positive Community for 25 years. And since Mayor Eric Adams has been in administration, this is the first time I've ever had the New York City Fire Department, the New York City Department of Ed, and also they had the New York City Police Department, but this was the first time that we've ever got those city departments. So he's very sensitive and has done a lot for the Black media, Black businesses, and I just want to give him a shout out.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Mr.
I will let him know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hassan,
yes, go right ahead, George.
No. I just wanted to know if you could see the hands that are up.
No, I actually cannot.
Help with that.
I cannot. So you have to.
I'll help you with that. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Adele,
Thank you.
Adele, hands is up.
Go ahead, Adele.
Hey, yes, good evening. I have a question in regards to bad businesses. In our community, we have a lot of businesses that pretty much come to do as they choose, and they don't care about the community. Well, what can we do with those?
Well, like I said, the cure process is in place, but it doesn't mean that it's a free for all. So, like, if you are having issues with some businesses, please forward them to our email. We can reach out. Maybe that's businesses that we're already engaged with. I am working with numerous businesses within your community board already. So we may already be working with them. And in some of those cases, enforcement has happened, right? Or is necessary. And again, we're here to protect good businesses, and we're here to help those businesses that are bad, maybe get them in the right track, right? Because we believe in second chances and want businesses to do well. But you have to adhere to the quality of life issues in the community. And we also want community members to just be fair with these businesses as well. All right. We know it's not easy. We know that obviously people come out late at night. They're not always as quiet as you want them to be. One of the things that we talk to businesses all the time about is as people are leaving, to let people know that one person's night out is somebody else's night in. So you need to be respectful of the community as well. So it's part of the positive work that we do in working with businesses to let them know what these best practices are as well.
Okay, thank you.
Marguerite is in. Marguerite.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. Well, I have a couple of questions. One is, if you, part of our problem as a community is that we really don't want nightlife in our residential neighborhoods. It's not the same as Manhattan nightlife or other areas like Park Slope where there's avenues where there's nightlife, but the residential streets are kind of protected. Here, we seem not to have that same kind of courtesy. So what is there in place to protect us from having, a club pop up on a corner, which, happens, like every couple of years around here. It's a new club that opens up that ends up being an illegal club. They don't have liquor licenses. There's all kinds of problems. But how do we stop that from happening? And how do you and your what you do, how can you help us?
Yeah, that's a That's a very good question, right? There's commercial zonings that determine where businesses can be. However, what I will tell you is that we work very closely, right, with businesses. And I just want you to understand, like, nightlife doesn't just mean nightclubs, right? It could be that a restaurant, right, was able to get a 2 a.m. license, right? And then they transition into a little lounge. But the primary focus of that business is to run as a restaurant. Um, but if a nightclub just happens to open up in a neighborhood, we want to make sure that they are adhering to these quality of life issues, that they are taking sound mitigation measures, right, to not adversely affect the neighborhood. So, again, if you have this in your neighborhood and you need us to do some outreach, please forward that to us, and we will work with these businesses as well. Uh, we work very closely with all the precincts. Um, and I'm glad that you mentioned illegal nightclubs, because one of the things I do talk about with community boards is that sometimes putting a lot of these restrictions on legitimate businesses, sometimes a lot of these stipulations that you hear that community boards put on these businesses, sometimes what that does is it has some unintended consequences, right? Because people are going to want to go out. And then you know what they do after they leave a legal business? Probably go to an illegal business to go continue hanging out. And unfortunately, my office does not work with illegal business. I only can really work with licensed venues, right? That have a liquor license, that have their permitting process in place, that we can engage with. Unfortunately, when you deal with these illegal businesses, it's only one avenue that we have, because even the SLA cannot engage with illegal businesses. The only people we have for that then is NYPD. And we all know how burdened NYPD is, and how short staffed they are. So what we want to do is make sure that legal businesses are able to operate, right? And then we can work with them to help with those quality of life issues.
Gotcha. Thank you
Okay.
for that.
Okay. Can I just ask one other question?
Sure.
It's kind of.
Go ahead.
Do you? Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you deal with just okay, so this is the other scenario. We have areas in our community where there's like one in specific, it's a private business. They have a yard and they just let people go there and have these parties. So it's kind of nightlife, but it's not a structured building. They just have these parties out in the yard. They build stages and they do all the stuff without a permit. And again, it's kind of illegal. So is that something that you can
So
do?
you're saying that the business, it's an actual business that is using a backyard. So it's
Yeah,
a legitimate business
right, but
using a
it's not
backyard.
it's not an entertainment business. It's a lumber yard, like.
A lumberyard. Okay, so the business itself, the actual entity is not a restaurant, a bar,
Right.
a club, or anything like that. It's
Right.
just a lumberyard that then is using the back of the business as a nightlife venue.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I would have to look at it specifically. If you want to send it to us, we can take a look at it. Obviously that shouldn't be happening, right? That a
Right.
lumberyard be working as a nightlife venue. And we can look into it. But if it was, let's say, a legitimate bar, right, that's using the backyard, maybe they have a right to use it.
Yeah, no,
But
it's not
there
that.
are some restrictions even with that. So again,
Yeah.
if you have anything like that as well, reach out to us and we'll engage.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I just have really two very quick questions, Mr. Garcia. One, I wanted to talk to you if you could expand a little bit about the program you have for capital, essentially capital improvements, I guess, or capital for small businesses. And you mentioned that in your access to capital, right? And then you mentioned something about leasing, the program you have for helping small businesses with leasing negotiations and things of that sort.
Absolutely. Those are two great programs that are here at SBS, right? I'll speak first about the commercial lease assistance. Um, if you have a business owner that is going through to renew a lease, we can help them with free legal assistance. We all know how difficult it is to look through a 60-page document like a lease, right? And we have attorneys on hand that we can connect them with that is free, that will look over this lease and help them negotiate a proper lease for them, right? And make sure that they have the protections in that lease in case they ever need to get out of it, right? So also, if the person comes to you that they're thinking about putting up a business, right? And they're going to engage the first time and getting into negotiations with a lease, that we can also help them there. So you don't have to currently have a business. You could just be getting into business, and we can help you there as well. And we also have folks here that can help you soup the nuts from the very beginning to help you with your permitting process, help you engage again with the commercial lease assistance and with the access to capital folks as well. We actually have some new programs being rolled out for businesses. There are loans. Unfortunately, there's no grants right now, but there are some low interest loans that we do work with local CDFIs with. So, by all means, please reach out. I can connect them with those folks at the Funds Finder. It's also on our website, but I can connect you direct with that team and also with the commercial lease assistant team as well. That can be helpful.
Great. Awesome. I see we had some additional hands too. I think, Marguerite, your hand is still up from last time though? Probably. Khadija, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do have it's like a two-part question. So I wanted to know more. So I know that you guys are saying nightlife, but what about for events, for temporary one-day events, like, during Labor Day? We know that we are going to have several events. What are we doing to kind of work with event promoters to kind of say, okay, normally y'all will shut them down because it's illegal. What steps are you guys giving to reach out to these local promoters to say, hey, in order to do this legally, this is what we can do? Because we do see these events happening under the bridges at Brooklyn Terminal, Brooklyn Terminal over there in Sunset Park. What are we doing to engage with some of the local club promoters so that we can have these preventions of their parties getting shut down because they didn't do the proper protocols? Is it your department that does this, or is it something that is reached out by others?
Yeah, we don't actually work with giving the permits out, but we work very closely with citywide events, right? And SAPO, the street activity permit folks, that we can connect them with and make sure that they have the proper permitting to be able to do these events. We also work very closely with the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs and the Caribbean community. Specifically, I'm working with them to around the Labor Day parade to help businesses, obviously not only have a great day and operate properly, but also working with the folks and connecting them how to get these permitting process in place. So yeah, reach out to me as well, send us an email, and we could connect these businesses to the proper folks.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much. And Marguerite, like I said, is your hand up from the last time? Okay, maybe it's from the last time. Okay. Any last questions for Mr. Garcia before he signs off?
Sorry, I just put it down.
Bev Hans is also.
Adele?
Yes. It's also in regard to the event spaces and most yard parties that pop up around holidays in residential zones, large, uncontrolled crowds. What can we do about that? Because they advertise as a business. If you check on the internet, they will advertise, oh, we're having a big yard party, it's going to be such and such place. And they sell tickets so you can get in. and they bring their own alcohol. Can
Got
they
it.
do that?
Got it. Yeah, we again we can engage with any of those events that are happening and the local precinct and work to get them in the right put them in the right direction, right? So if they're actually getting their permitting, if they're actually going and getting their 1 day liquor licenses, right? They also need to understand that they have rules and regulations that they need to work under, right? Um, just because it's a 1 day license doesn't mean you don't need to adhere to all the rules with what come with having a liquor license, right? So
Mhm.
if you're having these events and they're popping up and you get this flyer and you're concerned about what this means, send it to us and we can see how we can engage with them and the local precinct to make sure that these businesses or these event spaces are operating properly.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, I think we should leave it here. I want to thank, Executive Director Garcia for coming out and spending some time with us this evening and talking about the amazing work that he's doing through the Office of Nightlife. And looking forward to working with you and your organization, sir. Certainly always looking for ways we can partner better and certainly support our small business community as well. Also balancing, obviously, our community needs as well. So I want to thank you for that. Jose, I want to thank you also for setting this up. And I should say, Executive Director Garcia, are there any parting words you have to say, sir, before you sign off for the evening?
No, if 1 day want to do a walkthrough over there and with some of these businesses, let me know. I'll come and I'll visit you guys and check out some of the venues in your area within your community board.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do business card or walkthrough, so we would love to have you come out and we'll arrange that as well. Okay, but it's your office.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Yeah, same here. Well, thanks you so much. You guys don't have
Thank
to,
you.
and Jose don't have to stay on, but thank you again for being here. And we'll look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you. It was my pleasure being here.
Yes,
Ciao.
absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. All right. Thanks, Jose. Commerce Committee members, thank you guys so much for being a part of that. Hope you found it educational and you got a lot of good information out of that. I wanted to invite Executive Director Garcia for a while. It just hasn't happened. We have our guest speaker series, so I'm glad he was able to come out on such short notice as well, and I appreciate him doing that. So with that being said, I wanted to just do a couple of shout outs, which people who had joined us while Executive Director Garcia was doing his presentation. We have Ms. Celia Bellin, who's just joined us as well. I think there was a Marjorie Silcott, pardon me, I apologize. Silcott who joined as well. And Tawa, I think that was another person who joined. Tawa, nice to see you again. And I think that was it. I think those are the only people who joined after we got started. So, but thank you guys for being here. So I'm going to jump right back onto our agenda. So I wanted to ask, this is regarding the approval for the meeting minutes for April 2025. So I guess this is for our committee members, particularly the ones who were at the last meeting, not the new ones who are on the mic now, because you guys may have not gotten it and had a chance to read it, but the ones who were the committee members who were at the Commerce Committee last month. Have you received those minutes and have you read them as well?
Yes.
Okay, I'm assuming everybody's received them then, because nobody said they haven't received them. So, okay, great. So with that being said, can I ask for a motion to accept, the approval of the minutes for April 2025?
No, Hassan, I have
Yes,
a correction. Yeah, I have a correction.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you do?
I think
Okay,
what I think is a correction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Under the Excel nightclub, it says that the committee met with the lawyers.
Okay.
I think that needs to be changed from committee because the committee did not meet with the lawyers. As far
No,
as
we
I
didn't meet with the lawyers. No, we did not, actually. There was no, yeah, that's for sure. We didn't do that.
No, I spoke to the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one committee member spoke to the lawyer.
Right.
That was it. You can put that I spoke to the lawyer. You can change it to that.
Okay, great. So Marguerite Brooklyn. So Farah, can you make that change as well?
Mhm.
Okay, great. And if you do that, with that, is that the only correction that we have?
Only one I saw.
Okay, awesome. So with that being said, with that correction being made and it be amended to our minutes for April 2025, can I get someone to make a motion to accept our minutes?
State make a motion to accept the minutes with the correction noted, with the noted correction.
Can we get a second for that?
I second with the corrections.
Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that piece. And thanks so much for going through that exercise. So moving on to our next item on our agenda is the liquor licenses. Now, I don't know how many people are on the call, but if you hear your name being called, certainly you can let me know if you're a representative of any of these businesses. We have Tisme LLC Harvest House. Any representative for Tisme LLC Harvest House? Okay.
Hassan, on the agenda, it's just a no, something on the agenda. It says new application and temperature retail permit. Does that mean, is that supposed to say temporary retail permit?
Temporary, yeah, it's supposed to be temporary.
Okay. I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was something new.
No, temporary.
All right.
So okay, so Tisme is not here. What about Best Bites Restaurant and Bakery? Restaurant and Bakery. They are renewal. Okay. Anyone from Club Julian? Club Julian, they're a new application. Club Julian for the third time. Okay. And D Garden Caribbean. D Garden Caribbean. Nope. All right. So it seems, good people, that none of the businesses who were listed on our agenda have been here, are not here at our meeting. So just for the point of record, Farah and we had, what we did was we implemented a number of things, or I should say procedures that we want to move our meeting a lot smoother, particularly with not only with our Commerce Committee, but also with our board members. So we created a questionnaire. The Commerce Committee members who saw it, I thought we got all of questions that we needed. They're regular questions that be brought up. We had asked, and that's part of the record, that we will be asking the businesses to fill that questionnaire out. And if they don't fill it out, then we move forward to sort of our next level, but we need to have that. It's sort of a mandatory piece in the process. So I don't think that I didn't receive any questionnaire back. Had you received any questionnaires back, Farah?
No, I didn't receive any questionnaires back.
Okay. So, and we didn't get any, also, did we get any calls back indicating from the businesses that they would not be able to attend our meeting tonight?
No, actually, Club Julian emailed me today saying that they would be in attendance, so I was a little shocked that they didn't show up.
Okay, well, then they're not here. So either way, it doesn't really, that piece is, so they won't be appearing before the general board meeting tomorrow. Either way, we will not be allowing them to appear before the general board meeting because they didn't come before Commerce Committee meeting. So, and just as a matter of record, I wanted to make sure that we're clear about this. The reasons why we had to implement a lot of the changes is because we had intermittent participation from our businesses. For some reason, some businesses come before our committee and then others don't come. And wasn't sure what the real reason was. And then we found out that there was a potential problem where businesses were being told that they did not have to come before the Commerce Committee meeting, nor come before the general board meeting, which is a real problem for our processes that we have in place. So what we did was to sort of institute and implement compliance on them is that we sent over an email. I called and spoke to the businesses directly and talked to them about what was the expectation about our meeting, why the meeting should take place, why you have to appear not only for our Commerce Committee meeting, but also for our General Board meeting, and what the questionnaire is and all the things they needed to fill out, right? So I talked to them specifically. They all said that they would get with the exception, I didn't speak to, pardon me, I didn't speak to Club Julian's at all because I hadn't gotten to them yet. But everybody else I spoke to. So I'm surprised that they didn't even bother to show up. So what we are going to be doing moving forward is that when a business does not come before the Commerce Committee, nor does it come before the board, what we're going to do is implement this, is that we're going to be directly reaching out to the SLA with a letter, literally letting them know that this is part of our process in order for the liquor license to come before, our applicant to come before the Commerce Committee and then go before our General Board meeting. So that's a two-pronged process. It is mandatory. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, we certainly, if they're unable to come, then we would extend that out for another date, but that's the process that they have to follow through, okay? So if they're not, this is something that we're gonna be, and we will strongly let the SLA know in no uncertain terms that circumventing that process is going to get them a negative recommendation from the board, because what it's saying to us is, I don't have to follow your processes at all, okay? And you know, and we're not going to tolerate that as a Commerce Committee, nor will you tolerate that as a community board also. So this is what we're dealing with. I think this is a fallout from stuff that happened before, you know, and I know we've been down this road before, and some of the older Commerce Committee members have heard this. You know, you guys have heard this before. You know, this is not something that's happened for just now. It's happened before, and we want to prevent this from happening. So we'll be moving forward with that. But with that being said, I saw that there were a couple of hands that were raised. I saw Hazel's hand, Marguerite, and Adele, I think.
Hazel Martinez. I am just curious as to how much teeth all this is really going to have, because it seems when it comes to liquor licenses in this community, it's a free for all. And anyone and everyone can get one. Some people never come. I can think of a few places that never come to this board for a liquor license. And that is the only opportunity that the residents of the community who suffer very often at the hands of these people gets an opportunity to air their differences. So I mean, I don't want to know that it's just something on paper. It really has to have some kind of enforcement.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you, because, and this is because the purpose of think about what's happening now. The SLA sends us the applicant, right? Or the application to the board, right? And why do you think that they do that? Because it's a process that is in their preview that they have to do it. Otherwise they wouldn't do it, right? So they're relying on the business owners. This is the process. This is what you have to do. You can't skip that. And if, you know, but the problem is that when it comes to enforcement, we haven't, I don't think that, and this is something that I think not just for myself, but any chair that I've seen, maybe the ones in the past, even going further back, Hazel, you would know this, where it's really been hammered home to the SLA saying, listen, these guys have not come before us. Every applicant gets a letter. If they do not come before the board for this month, and this is what I'm going to be sending out for May, those 4 businesses that did not attend our meeting as per mandatory, right? Letting them know that this is circumventing our process for them getting their liquor license. And we cannot make a recommendation for them to get a liquor license if they don't go through our process. It's mandatory. It's the way it's supposed to be. That's why you send the applicants to us. Otherwise, why would you do it?
Well, what safeguard do you have that they're not going to get this license? None.
That's what we have to work out with the SLA, right? So it's, and then there are ways that you can help or enforce or I would say enforce. I don't want to use that word, but I want to encourage the agencies to do what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, and we can talk about that a little bit as a. And I don't want to spend the Commerce Committee time. We can do that in a subcommittee, but I want to talk about that piece because I think that that's an important piece on getting getting the compliance from our small business owners. We had a much better rate, I think, anyway. At one point when businesses came before us, whether they were new or renewals, they came before us. I mean, occasionally we would have ones that didn't come, but here lately it's been really, really rampant. It's been really, really rampant where we've been having businesses just completely don't come. They say that they're coming and then they don't show. They don't provide any explanation, and then you don't hear anything from them anymore at all. So we need to do a better job on proactively making sure in the future that the SLA is aware of our processes, and we are not going to give any recommendation to any business who's going to circumvent those processes at all. So, and there are ways to just like anything else, you apply pressure and to comply to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do, you know? And we can talk about it being a public safety issue because it invariably is a nuisance, you know, for the community. I mean, all kinds of ways we can do it, guys. We can be very creative when it comes to making sure that our agencies do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't, we can apply the pressure as a Commerce Committee on behalf of Community Board 17 to make sure that they do comply. That's what I'm saying. So with that being said, good point, Hazel. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Marguerite, I know you had a question as well. And I think
yes, well, I have a question, but just back to piggyback on this. So the thing is that we should, so they don't show up, so we send a negative letter to the SLA, or that we didn't approve it, or whatever, however we're going to word it. But say they may say get the license anyway, but how are we going to know? Like we have to actually check back on those. We have to make sure that we are checking.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
For people that don't come back, you know, that don't come, that like, you know, do they then get a license in 6 months?
Right. And
or however long it takes.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why, if you guys are very aware, some of the Commerce Committee members also know, the ones who've been here for a little bit, you know that Farah has been working on adding that historical information to our website, right? Where it'll give you the businesses, what the disposition was, whether we gave them a recommendation letter or not, whether they attended the Commerce Committee meeting and then came before the General Board meeting, whether they didn't show up for both of them. All of that historical record will be on the website once it's up, and hopefully we'll be able to get that up.
But we just have to check it. We have to keep track of it.
Right, we have to check it. That's exactly right. But what I think we should do on our own as a Commerce Committee, and this is something that, and this is when it comes to data management tools, we need to be better able to follow that kind of information. We should have a general database that flags these businesses when they come up back to us again for non-compliant for whatever reason. So we're going to be doing that and putting that, implementing that as well. And we can use a number of different things. I mean, there are tools out there we can use. Heck, we can use an Excel spreadsheet to pull some stuff together. It's not really difficult. The hardest part is setting it up how you want it. But we can monitor those things, and we can do that. And the committee can have access to that. It wouldn't be accessible where you'd be able to make changes to it, but you could have something that you could read only and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it could be something that we can update on a real-time basis. You know, so after this meeting tonight, if we had something like that already in place, Farah would be able to put something in there, or even myself, saying that, hey, these guys didn't show up, they didn't call, they agreed that they were going to be here, and this is what the disposition is now. You know, so, and then what our follow-up is going to be, whether we're going to be calling individually, which we should be, reaching out to the SLA, making sure that we do that. And if there was just something that just anomaly just happened, will they be added for our next month's meeting? All that kind of stuff. So I hear your point. I see your comment, Dale. Thanks. But the point of it is we can't allow that to go on. And it's a problem. It's a problem. And we are not going to allow it to go on. So just to kind of let you guys know, we are putting things in place already to help solve those problems. I saw that Gabriel.
Wait, no,
Gabriel,
I actually had a question to follow, you know,
you did? Oh, you have another
yeah,
question?
because I wanted to ask a question, but then I thought of that at the same time. Actually, it's not a question. Like one time, at least one time a year, the board meeting comes before the commerce meeting.
Yes.
And on that night, you know, then we can't, you know, process at the committee.
Right.
Because the board meeting is first. So I want to make a suggestion that for that month, we have a special meeting ahead of the board meeting so that we can actually process these things.
Yeah, it's just that's a good point, and so your suggestion is great because both Farah and I had talked about that, and that was something that we had talked about, and that's something that we are going to be implementing for future meetings. We just have to make sure that we let Ms. Frazier know, the chair know, that kind of thing, to make sure that there's continuity. I think it's important to have continuity because when we had that happen, it presents a real problem for some business owners who've come to our in front of the board and that kind of thing a couple of times. So I agree completely, but we have talked about that. It is something that's in the works, and we're going to be doing that moving forward.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. And I saw Gabe, you have a question, and then Khadija.
Yeah, more of a comment.
Sure.
Just thank you for all your very cogent explanations of everything. But it seems to me that when it comes to a lot of these, the so-called enforcement, that the ultimate enforcement always rests with the general public, not with us. That as long as we're transparent about it and can bear witness to, who's following our recommendations, and who isn't, then that information becomes available to the public, and they can use that to hold elected officials accountable.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky in that both at the city and the state level, we don't have a unitary executive. So if the comptroller, say the city comptroller or the state comptroller doesn't like the way an agency is acting, they can hold them accountable.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of accountability mechanisms. We're just
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Gabe. You're absolutely right. That's a good point. Absolutely. Great. And I think Khadija, you had your hand up as well.
Yes. So I hear everything that you're saying, but the only concern that I have is that according to what SLA is saying, SLA says that it's highly favorable for them to do so. They don't have to. It's not mandatory. The only thing that's mandatory is SLA notifying us about these applications coming into place. And if that's the case, there's really no enforcement that we can do that it contradicts. And if we're contradicting, then I see issues occurring.
Gotcha. I hear your point.
And I see it as a legal, I'm not looking at it as this, I'm looking at it from a legal concept now, because if we're trying to enforce certain things, we have to make sure that we are abiding the rules that say that we can do this. And I don't see anything in the rules saying that if SLA is saying that it's highly favorable for them to present to the community board, it's not mandatory, then we can't change the wording for us without speaking with SLA and they also changing their wording.
Right, and that was the point that I was making earlier about making sure that we reach out and speak to the SLA directly to let them know what our processes are, and this is something that we take very great care when it comes to liquor licenses in our community, and we can list all of the reasons why we feel that way. We talk about public safety issues, we talk about nuisance debate, all that kind of stuff. But we want to make sure that they are aware of what our concerns are. Now, with that being said, just because they have wording in their language saying that you can go or you cannot go, or language that's rather ambiguous, is neither here nor there. Our processes is what our process is. It's been like this for decades, even before I got on the board.
When
All
we
right.
say our processes, what I'm wanting to make sure is we saying that community board 17, or is this all community boards? Because then it should be all across the line. If you're saying community board 17, then you have to be very specific.
No, this is all.
Because
Khadija, this is all community boards across the line. They all have the same processes. If you go to Community Board 14, you go to Community Board 18, they have the same processes in place. Okay, that they get the same letter that we get. All right, in our Commerce Committee, indicating that they have someone who's applying for a liquor license, and that person should be coming before the board to present. Okay, now with the nuances is sometimes what they do is they may not present directly to the Commerce Committee, or what they call, sometimes they call it an Economic Development Committee, but they present directly to the full board, and then the board votes. You follow what I'm saying? So the process is, and that's their process for that board. Okay, but the point that I'm making is that they go through the same processes. It may differ a little bit from board to board, but the process of us arriving to the same conclusion is pretty similar from board to board, is what I'm saying. So I get what you're saying, but I think what I'm and it's because it's something that just recently started happening, Khadija. This is something that's, I mean, we've never had a situation where we've had 4 businesses that have, whether they're new or renewals, who've said that they're going to come to our meeting, Commerce Committee meeting, and all 4 never show up. We've had some with 2 don't show up, or 3 show up and 1 don't show up, or maybe even 1, but the other 3 don't show up. But we've never had a situation like that. So the point that I'm making, it's happened quite frequently where there seems to be a pattern in this, and this is only more recently, is what I'm saying. You
I
follow
hear
me?
everything that you're saying. I hear everything that you're saying, but I also want us to be very honest with ourselves and look at how we have been as a community board for the last few months in regards to all of the chaos and stuff in regards to just internally, and how other representatives have seen that. And that word has been trickled down of like, we don't have our stuff in order. We're constantly going back and forth with each other. And that is also a reflection. And I do want us to also take into consideration that there's times where we haven't had quorum, and we had community boards, owners come back, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we say these things, we also have to also look at how we have been as a board and our representation before we throw shots, because they could be speaking to each other and telling them this is what they've been noticing and what they've been seeing. So they may not take us seriously because of what we have put out there too.
I completely agree with that too, and you have a very valid point. We've all been witnesses to that front seat and center, to some of the chaos at times with things that have happened. I have to say though, it hasn't been reflective of our committee. We've still continued to do our work, and we still continue to do the work that I think, and the good work that I think, as a committee we put out there. And there are other committees as well that are doing the same thing, despite when you go to the board meetings and sometimes there's a bit of chaos. So I get what you're saying, what the public perception is. The fact remains though, and so that's why I'm pushing back a little bit, Khadija, on this with you, is despite whatever's happening on a community board level, and I get that, the businesses should not be exempt. They can't unilaterally exempt themselves from our process, and that's my point. So we are going to do our due diligence as a committee to make sure that we contact the SLA to reach out to all of those businesses who did not show up this evening and find out why and what certainly happened, and then send out a letter individually to the SLA saying, hey, these 4 businesses didn't come before this part of our process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We cannot in good favor provide a letter of recommendation for any of these businesses because of X, Y, and Z. So we'll be doing that, and I think you just have to have controls in place. You just can't say, okay, well, that's just it. We have nothing to it's just because things had happened before, we should just leave it. No, we have to to make sure that we do everything on our end to ensure that as a committee, we're putting things in the proper place. And if we don't have our businesses do what they need to do on our end, we can't really, I think, recommend them for any type of liquor license because they haven't gone through the requisite meetings and question points and all of that. So I get what you're saying, but as a business owner, you're in business, okay? You're in business. I mean, agencies ask you for certain things. They ask you sometimes within a timely time frame for you to get that information in. And if you don't have it, there are certain expectations that you don't get as a business owner. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But moving forward, I just wanted to make sure that we have the chance to talk about it. But I notice it's been happening a lot more frequently. You know, I wanted to make sure that we addressed it and what our next responses are going to be moving forward, just to let you guys know. So we are moving forward with that. Are there any questions about that as well? Oh, sorry, Ms. Bellin and I think Adele. Yeah, I think your hands are still up.
Yes, good evening, everyone. To piggyback on what the other lady just said, if the SLA is saying it is not compulsory, it's not mandatory, and we send them a letter, what do you expect from the SLA? Because
what do we expect from the SLA?
They do not have to do this, and here we sending them a letter saying to them that the people didn't show up, and therefore we were not going to give them a letter. The SLA doesn't have to listen to it. They could still go ahead and issue the license because that's what they are not saying on their end. It is mandatory. So what the lady was trying to say a while ago, why waste your time and do that?
No. But this is why we waste our time. Let's be very clear about and this is why I push back a lot when people start to say that the community has no recourse or that our community doesn't have any recourse. We can't. What do we do? The agencies are there to service a particular function, right? They're there to grant liquor licenses, but those liquor license applicants are in our community. Okay, it's the bottom line, right? They're in and around our community. We are residents who have to deal with the fallout as a result of a bad neighbor, whether it's due to overcrowding, whether it's due to selling alcohol to underage minors, all kinds of stuff. Okay, we've seen that in our community. And for us to sit here and say that we have no recourse, yeah, we got recourse. We got recourse. We have our community pressure that we can apply. We have our elected officials pressure that we can apply as well. And we can take it all the way to the mayor's office. We can take it all the way to the state government if we need to. But the bottom line is there are mechanisms in place that we can use as a community board to make sure that this is what we expect, because other communities get it. And there's no question about it that they get it. Okay? They come in and they do what they're supposed to do. They go through the necessary processes, and the community, if the community recommends them or doesn't recommend them, they move on. But the bottom line is they adhere to that process. There's no discussions about it, and they don't mix with that. And we shouldn't play with that either. So for me, I'm very clear about that. And it's the fallout is on our community.
And Sean, can I say something?
Yeah, you can say something.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I want to make sure that everybody realizes that we always send a letter to the SLA. I'm not sure that everybody realizes that here.
Oh, they know we send a letter. They know we send
we send a letter, because somebody was saying that what's the point of sending a letter? But we send a letter whether we recommend it, we don't recommend it.
Yep.
So we always going to send a letter.
Yep, we do.
Just want to clarify that.
We absolutely do. And in that letter, we'll be stating our reasons why, we obviously didn't approve. And then we can also talk about some of the processes we have in place, et cetera. So the point that I'm making, yes, to your point, Khadija, I had to push back a little bit on you because there are recourses that we do. Ms. Bellin, there are recourses that we have in the community. And we've had these situations happen before, and we've got positive outcomes because the community was not going to allow these things to happen. So there's mechanisms in place that we can push back on. So it's not a problem. I mean, they're going to have to go through the necessary process. Why won't they do that in our community, but we'll do that in other communities with no problem? That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
No one is saying that. What I'm saying is,
I'm not talking about you, Khadija. I'm not talking about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the verbiage doesn't match. And if the verbiage does
Exactly.
not match, you cannot enforce something if the verbiage doesn't match.
Not much. I agree.
That's
How the
all I'm
family
saying.
jump?
Say that again.
That is all I'm saying. If the verbiage doesn't match, so if in order for that to happen, we need to make sure that SLA is on the same page. And if that's the case, this is no longer a Community Board 17 issue. This is a whole New York City issue, which is even you will speak more in volumes if it's all of the community boards who are feeling this way. But if it's just one community board feeling this way, we can't change the verbiage just based off of one community board. It has to be for the whole entire.
I completely agree with you, but you have to understand, Khadija, is that the community boards that reside in certain communities do not have these problems. Okay, and I don't want
to say that. I don't want to go back and forth with you because I sit in other community boards because that's what I go around doing. And I will say that they still have some of the same issues or even more. It's just that some of them know how to do it. What they do instead is that they enforce and they work around with the resources that they have available to make it even more difficult for them to do certain things. And that's what it is. And my thing is like, yes, we can spew this out, but we are only looking one dimensional. We have to be more innovative. If this is not working for us, what are the other workarounds that we can do so that we can make sure that these communities, these owners know that they have to come to us and that they start to stimulate. We can't just keep on saying, oh, we're going to send a letter. Guess what? They'll realize that and they'll keep on doing it this way because there's no recourse behind you sending a letter saying, hey, no, we don't support. That is not building that rapport because regardless of what, we want the relationship. There is a disconnection. What is the disconnection? How do we fix that disconnection?
I got what you're saying. And like I said, you know, there are ways that we can probably talk about this more in our subcommittee meeting, which I think is really a good conversation because we can get into the weeds on this. But what I wanted to do was make sure that we at least fleshed it out a little bit, and so you guys would know what it is that's happening, and we have put in certain mechanisms in place to move things along. So let's just keep going with that. I didn't want to belabor the point, and I want to thank the committee members.
Hassan,
sorry, yes.
It says why are we acting like this is something that happened out the blue that
it's not.
knows how it happened?
But it's not.
We know very well how that occurred.
It's not. I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying that we are putting mechanisms in place with the assumption of not dealing with anything else. This is what we're dealing with to mitigate those situations, and we've been talking a little bit about what we some of the things that
people didn't just come up with that idea. They were given that instruction.
Right, of course,
by the person that is representing them.
Of course, but the point of it is that. So this is why we need to make sure that we put our things in place. So what is the recourse for us? And we talked a little bit about that tonight, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in our subcommittee meeting and getting into the weeds on that as well. So I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but thank you guys for hashing it out. Sometimes we need to talk through this as well. I wanted to give Detective Pierre, if he's still on, a few moments to talk a little bit about if he can give us the update that some of you did not hear at our 67 Precinct Community Council meeting. Detective P, are you on? Is he not on anymore? I don't see him. Looks like he might have dropped off.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think he might have dropped off. Okay, so he dropped off. Oh no, I see him here.
Yeah.
Detective Pierre, are you still on, sir? Yeah, he looked like he might have gone. So either way, so let me give you guys an update. And certainly this was relating to what's the place? The event space over there by not the event space, sorry. The club that's over there on Farragut Road.
XXL event space.
Yeah, there you go. And so I was at our last precinct council meeting, which was last week Thursday, and Deputy Inspector Kozak had mentioned to me that the agencies went in and did a march Oh, well, they called it it's still a march order. It's a multi-agency response, whatever. And they went into the location over there on Farragut Road with the police department, the buildings department, SLA, and I can't, no, not the SLA. It was a few other agencies. But the bottom line is they found that this particular location had a number of violations, and what they did was they actually chained and padlocked the door and said that there should be no business operating out of there. And if anybody goes back into that space, that they will be trespassing and they will be arrested. And they're looking to have a follow-up disposition on it. I think they're looking at July because they were looking for a new judge because the judge it was there and there was some I don't want to get into the weeds on it, but the bottom line, they had to get a new judge for this. So they're looking to have another date sometime in July, and we'll be following that pretty closely. I've been talking with the deputy inspector on that as well to see if we can certainly, ensure that this location does not open up and do business illegally like they've been doing. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. Okay.
So now they're partying in the front?
No, so I would like to address that if I can.
You can.
Yeah. So what happened now, it's great because they're not, so for the last 2 weekends, it's been pretty quiet and, we have peace of mind on the weekends. But Sunday, they moved it into the Bracci lumber yard. So they had an outside event. They built a stage in there. They were double parked all over the street. They had a line of people on the sidewalk paying tickets to get in. So they just moved it now. So I have a feeling that that's going to be what they do now every weekend.
No, but Marguerite, why didn't you just text me and reach out to me so I can notify the precinct so we can't see. This is when these things happen.
I put in complaint. I put in a 311 complaint Sunday, and they came back and said they closed it and said that they didn't do anything about it.
No, but you have to because you haven't explained the nuance of what happened, right? The assumption is that they're talking about the location, but you've told me that they've moved into the lumber area of Bracci, which is a different area. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
they
it's
don't know
all
the
owned by the
nuance.
same people.
Right, but they don't know the nuances of that. So if you just pinged me, like I always ask you to do, so I can immediately talk to and pull in. So like on Sunday when that happened, right? I could have reached out to the 57 precinct and talked to the community affairs and got Inspector Kozak involved in that like right away, right? Because according to them, they shouldn't be doing any of that. So so this is why it's important to make sure that you respond to that. But either way, okay, I got you. So that's an update. So we can make sure that we reach out to the precinct. I thought the detectives Pierre was going to still be on, but I will reach out to them and follow up with that. Okay. But thank you for that.
Sure.
And Hazel, I just wanted to publicly again apologize to you. There's been a whole series of things, and this is all my fault, by the way. I had a few deaths in family and stuff recently that I was unable to kind of get to all the things that you and I was supposed to do for your community over there. So what I want to do, if you don't mind, and certainly you can hold me accountable, as you always do anyway, is set up another date for have the agencies come over and we'll do the walkthrough on there, which I think is a good thing to do. I was hoping to do that. We can certainly try and set it up directly after Memorial Day, of course, because this week is done. And see if we can try and get some folks over there and get the room as well. I can look at the date. You can let me know what date works for you next week. And if we can do that, no day?
Not at all.
Okay. What about the week after, which is
it would
the week of the 9th?
To be after the 3rd.
After the 3rd? Okay. So can we let's try and let's try and do something either June 4th or June 5th. Either of those days, just that out there. I'm gonna ask I'll make another request to have the community room over there at Wyckoff open. And so I'll do either of those days, and then I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll ask them tomorrow once we get the date confirmed.
Okay.
Either date right now works for you, right?
Yes, so far.
Okay, good. So then I'll try to do it earlier that than later. So I'll look at try to do it on June 4th, and then we'll get the letters, emails out to Department of Transportation. I think it was Transportation, Sanitation,
And the police.
Police Department. Yeah, all of the requisite agencies that we have to make up that. All right.
And traffic.
Right, in traffic. Yes, that's right, in traffic.
Yes,
So we
sir.
can do that. Yes. So I'll do that. I'll do my part, and so just look out for that. And again, apologies for that. It's just been crazy. So many things have been happening, but that's really kind of what delayed everything. And I didn't want to keep the committee on that, but I wanted to make a public apology to you because we haven't done that with you at all. And you guys over there have been really patient. And your patience has run out. I know that. So I want to make sure that I do everything I can in my capacity as Commerce Committee Chair to support your efforts over there. And okay, so just want to mention that. Lastly, a couple of things. There are, because we're running up on 8:40, is there any unfinished business, which I think we might have even talked about already? Anything else that we should be talking about on unfinished business, folks? Nope. Okay. Oh, yes, there is one thing. There is one thing. So we're still trying to do this Small Business Expo. We had a date for this month that we were looking to work with the council member's office on, and as well as the mayor's office, but that didn't work out. So we're looking to do something in June. I just don't know what the date is on that yet, but I will keep you posted. Hopefully we'll get a date shortly. And we'll be able to keep the same location, which was, I think, K&L Manor was the location that we talked about as well. Secondly, I know that we were trying to do the Sumptuous Sampler event, which this year, the problem is because of, and this is something that I've gotten a little bit pushback from our business owners with, because of the stuff that's happening with the tariffs and all this stuff with the inflation and all that, the businesses feel that they really can't support certain things right now when it comes to giving out donations for lunch or breakfast or whatever. So I understood that. I understood what they were saying. But what I think we could do is still do East Flatbush Restaurant Week, which I think is important to do as well. So we could appeal to the business owners to come up with a special menu that they may have for East Flatbush Restaurant Week, and any discount coupons that we can get out to the community and promote that as well. And then we make a big thing about it. We can probably get some media out to those restaurants that participate at East Flatbush Restaurant Week for that week. Maybe News 12 or any other type of media that we can have that they can just make a big thing for it. So just kind of wanted to sort of let you guys know about that. And I think that was it. That's all I had. Are there any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Good afternoon. I have a question.
Who's that?
This is
Tawa?
Tawa.
Hey, Tawa,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm okay. When is East Flatbush Restaurant Week again? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. So East Flatbush Restaurant Week is generally the end of the month. So it is. Well, normally what would happen is we would have the Sumptuous Sampler event, which is the last Monday of the month, right, of June. So the Sumptuous Sampler would have been the 30th, and then East Flatbush Restaurant Week starts the 1st of July, and it goes all through that week, all the way to I think July 12th. I think that's what it is. So from the 30th, in this case, it would be June 30th to July 12th.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm writing it down. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we'll put a flyer together and all that stuff, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the subcommittee meeting as well. All right. So I don't have anything else. I don't want to keep you guys on any longer because it is now 8:43. So with that being said, can I ask for an adjournment to our meeting this evening? Someone can make a motion to adjourn.
I use a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Fantastic. Any second?
I second Marguerite.
All right, that's fantastic. So I want to just want to mention and welcome again Gabe, Dorothy, just to kind of go through some of some of the Marjorie, Neil, Nicole. I appreciate you guys. I know you guys are all new. Appreciate you guys sitting through our Commerce Committee meeting for the first time. Deidre too. Sorry, pardon me, and Ever as well. So I want to thank you guys for being born. Sorry. Oh, okay. I thought somebody said something, but I want to thank you guys for being a part of the meeting, and thank you guys for, and certainly, being part of the process, and hopefully you'll come back. I hope you found it engaging enough that you will come back and bring your ideas, which we always are open to that. And we hope that you also join one of our subcommittee meetings as well. Or the subcommittee meeting is where a lot of the real work gets done too. So I look forward to speaking to each of you. And certainly if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me directly via email or by phone. It's not a problem. But I'm more than happy to chat with you guys. Okay. And
sorry, what's your email?
Sure. It's I'll give you HBACK 36 at hotmail.com. Okay.
HBACK 36 at hotmail.com. Okay.
Yeah. All right. And you can just reach out to me at any point if you have any questions or anything. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. And good night, everybody. I'll let you guys go. Have a great week. And some of you I will